All right, looks like we're live. Are we live? Are we live? Somebody let me know. Can you hear me? How's my sound? It's a couple times I've recorded things and people couldn't hear me, and I was like, oof. I went ahead and made this whole video. I spent 30 minutes doing all this effort and work, and my sound wasn't even working. So I just want to make sure that we have my sound out there. Can you guys hear me? Doo, doo, doo. What's up, Josh? Hey guys, how do I sound? Is my sound coming through clear? Sounds a little low. Okay. How about let me how about now? Is that high? Is that better? Okay, thanks. You like my hair? Ray, are you gonna be there Saturday? You coming to see me Saturday, Ray? I hope so. dun, 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 dun. Looking forward to Saturday's event. What's up, Lewis? Alexis. I forgot your real name. What's up, Bridget? Renona? Okay, all right. Cool. Actually, I actually I wrote this slide presentation back in October, and I never got around to putting it together. And then something happened this morning. Um, a friend of mine gave me a call, and you guys will see it'll all come together. So he gave me a call and really talked to me about like the opportunity zones and what he was doing. And so I said, man, I got to put this video out because I don't want to put it out after the fact, after like everyone hears this wonderful news and they learn about it and they're like, why E didn't tell us about the opportunity zones? So I'm like, crazy, Bridget. Oh, okay. Simone, there you go. I'm gonna write that down in my book. Alexis equals Simone. Hold on. So my buddy called me this morning. He's doing some great things with opportunity zones. It's gonna make national news very soon. And so I decided I wanted to release this video before it made national news, and I want to share with you guys so that at least, at the very least, I could pique some people's interest, and also at the same time, I wanted to definitely like dispel some of the nasty, negative stuff that's going out there. It also falls in line, right, with Martin Luther King Jr., the holiday. I see a lot of messages on Instagram. I'm sure you guys saw a lot of messages on Instagram, right, with speeches that he gave about how other people were given land and property and assets, and how we were not given land, property, assets, but they were clearly doing that for others. So I thought this would be a great opportunity to actually talk about the opportunity zones and what that means for us, because sometimes, because things come from someone that we may not necessarily look up to or appeal to or like or think highly of, doesn't mean that these things can't work in our favor. And so if you've ever been on my channel, if you've ever listened to me talk, like, like I'm always like, listen, I don't, it doesn't matter who's in office at the time. Doesn't matter who holds the seats in the House, the Congress, any of that stuff. Contracting still exists. Contracting still must go on. And so it's a race neutral programs, right? So this is for everybody and anybody who wants to take advantage of. And the same thing with these opportunity zones. Like, this is for any and everybody who wants to take advantage of. So I just kind of want to put that out there, allow some people to get on board. And hey, Joseph James, welcome. T Vision Production, what's going on? Maria, okay, is here. Lewis, we're gonna get together at 7. Yeah, that's why I jumped on at 6 so I can talk for about an hour, and then not necessarily I'm gonna be here for an hour, but at least gives me some time before I get with you guys. So, all right, cool. Does anyone out there know about opportunity zones? Like anyone out there heard about the opportunity zones? Like, is this something that you guys are familiar with? Have you heard about it? Is anybody up on it? Has anybody done anything with it, or how are people talking about it? I know there's like a little lag between my live session and the actual what I see on the screen. But anybody? Any feedback from anybody out there? Yes, no, boom, boom, boom. Thanks, Bridget. Okay, so I didn't get any responses. Nope, nope, never heard of it. Never heard of it. Okay, cool, good. Well, this is great. At least if you've never heard of it before, at least Terrence heard of it. At least at the very least, it's coming from me, so you're gonna get my take on it, right? Before you go out there and you hear other people's take on it. At least you're gonna get my take on it. Ray, there you go. See, Ray's paying attention. Right. Um, exactly. So let me jump in and let's talk about opportunity zones. I'm going to let me get my my presentation up. All right, so we're going to talk about today. Let me go back. Opportunity zones, right? That's the conversation, and since last week, I like the live format. I used to do it about 2 years, maybe about a year ago. I used to do the live format, but believe it or not, like when I was doing YouTube live, it literally would take me 8 hours to prepare a presentation, and so it was I mean, it was exhausting. So imagine I was doing live Tuesdays and Thursdays, and so it's taking me 8 hours to prepare for like a 1 hour talk. So that's 16 hours to prepare for 2 days. I mean, it was a lot of work to put these things together, the research, like all the facts and the information, and to be able to justify like my side and my opinion. Um, and so like that's why I stopped it. But I'm hoping from based on last week's like favorable, positive feedback from everybody, I'm hoping to at the very least do one live episode, like show a week, and then I'd love to extend it to 3 or 4 live shows a week. So I've been talking to people to be potential guests on the show to come on so we can do a regular like weeknight show. So that's the goal. That's the plan. But yeah, I used to do this a lot. So let's jump back in over here. And OBS makes this thing really easy. So today we're talking about opportunity zones. What is it? What's all the hype about? Who's eligible? How do you take advantage? And is it gentrification? So the first things first, what is an opportunity zone? Yes, so someone in the chat did mention, they said, is it like hub zones? And so opportunity zones are, a lot of times, they do overlap the hub zone areas. So essentially, where you find hub zones, you're likely to find opportunity zones because they're in the same types of areas where there are distressed communities throughout the United States. Now, what's interesting is that from my standpoint, what I see is that if you look around and most of the areas where there's crime, there's not like a lot of population, there's not a lot of construction, there's not a lot of development. Those are typical areas where there's opportunity zones. So you may see some abandoned buildings or ran down buildings, things like that. So what happens is in 2017, they had the tax cuts, okay, the Jobs Act. And what was done in Congress was that they designated certain areas to spur economic development and job creation in distressed communities. Okay, and so they're offering tax benefits and incentives to investors who actually invest in eligible communities. And so these communities it came down from the federal government, and then they worked with local states and then local municipalities to designate areas that meet certain criteria, right? And so, yes, to the person who said, was it like a hub zone? Yes, you will find a lot of areas where there's hub zones. their opportunity zones. And by the way, you can easily Google and find like the opportunity zone map. So it's easy to go online, Google it. In fact, let me see if I can do this. Hold on. Let's see if I can get my browser on and see if I can Google. Okay. So there are maps that show opportunity zones that you can actually put in, type in your city, state, same just like a hub zone, and see where are the opportunity zones at. So you can do that now. Now, who gets the opportunities and how does this work? So what happens is essentially what the opportunity zones do is they allow people, right, the taxpayers, the investors who are eligible, they allow them to defer their tax on eligible capital gains by making an investment in a qualified opportunity fund that meets the requirements. What is capital gains tax? Capital gains tax, by definition, is a government fee that's assessed on the profit made from selling certain types of assets, which include property and include stock. And so essentially, when you're talking about property and stock, you sell that asset. The capital gains calculated as the total sales price minus the original cost of the asset. It's funny because the reason why we start this conversation, I'm getting a phone call over here based on this stuff. So now what happens is, okay, so we know that the opportunity zone, by the way, don't beat me up because I'm clicking like back and forth between the browser and between my actual presentation. So we know that the opportunity zone is to allow people to essentially defer their taxes from capital gains, right? We know what the capital gains are. They are the taxes that are assessed to people who sell off property and assets like stocks. Okay, now how big is this opportunity? So the federal fiscal spending in 2018 was, hold on one second. Give me 1 second, guys. All right. Dun, dun, dun. Are we back? Dun, dun, dun. All right. Okay. Yeah. Am I back on? I'm back on. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So look. No, that was actually a conversation regarding this issue, which is very ironic. Yeah. So let's talk about the size of the opportunity. The federal fiscal spending in 2018 was $560 billion, right? So that's actually reached an all-time high since 2010. The amount of capital gains estimates, right, that are being deferred right now is $2 trillion to $6 trillion. So that's 10 times 1 year's federal annual fiscal spending budget, right, in contracts. So just imagine, I actually took the time out to expand that circle so it could be exactly 10 times proportional to that little circle, just to give people an idea of what the size is of the opportunity. So that's obviously a huge opportunity. So who is able to participate? Well, any and everyone who wants to diversify their capital gains, or people who are willing to manage and operate an opportunity fund. And we're going to talk about what an opportunity fund is and what that looks like. There is some specific guidelines and a timeline that goes with this stuff. And so, but the beauty is there's so many now accountants that understand how this works that they can easily help you set up an opportunity fund and help you follow these guidelines. But this is just a timetable of what it looks like when people take their deferred taxes and they invest it into a qualified opportunity fund. So now let's talk about what is a qualified opportunity fund. A qualified opportunity fund is an investment vehicle that files either a partnership or corporation, files federal income tax return, and is organized for the purpose of investing in an opportunity zone. All that means is an LLC. So, like the bottom line to all of this mumbo jumbo, if you set up a LLC, then you can actually create a qualified opportunity fund. And that's the reason why I'm on telling people, because when you read some of this stuff, sometimes we think it's like, oh, well, I don't know what a qualified investment vehicle looks like. Listen, it says a corporation or partnership. So if you set up a simple LLC and you state that your LLC, right, is organized for the purpose of investing in an opportunity zone, then you now have a qualified. Oh, my picture's in the way. Oops. Hold on. You now have what's called a qualified opportunity fund. So that's all it is setting up an LLC. So now you set up your LLC, and this is some of the language, like the legal language. The funds must be domestic corporation, which again, if you set up an LLC in United States somewhere, it's domestic. The purpose must be to invest in opportunity zones. Okay, fair enough. They must hold at least 90% of their assets in stock or partnership interest and qualified opportunity zone business or tangible qualified opportunity zone business property. So again, if you are investing in properties that are inside of an opportunity zone area, those are qualified opportunity zone business properties. And then certification of the funds. There's a statute that says you've got to certify whether or not the funds, opportunity funds, by a treasury, and then it will announce whether or not the funds are certified. So again, all these are forms that you fill out, documents showing or attesting to the fact that, okay, this is a qualified fund. The funds are being used to buy properties in these qualified zones that are designated by the federal government. And a vehicle is the LLC, right? And so that's really all of this. And I like to say word mumbo jumbo. All of this mumbo jumbo, that's all it really means, right? So you're just attesting and stating these things, almost like a self-certification when you look at the government. Here is what a map looks like. So qualified opportunity zone fund, right? LLC. And so you can use that to take money and invest in businesses or property. So you can invest that money in a business. So if they have a business that's operating or running inside of that area, or you've got property that's inside of that area, then that fund is allowed to invest those capital gains taxes that have been deferred into these specific things. I'm gonna go off screen and just make sure that everybody like understands this. So let me talk to you. You have a bunch of people, right, that are going to have to pay this capital gains tax. Now, they have two choices. They can write a check to the IRS, or they can invest in a business or property that sits inside of one of these designated areas. Now, if they invest in the business or property that resides in these areas, then depending upon the length of time that they keep the money in that investment, their amount of taxes are going to be reduced significantly the longer they keep it in there. In addition to that, if they invest in a business or if they invest in a real estate development deal and that development sells for a profit, that profit that is realized is the taxes are totally at zero if it was in there for 10 years or not. So that business, whatever gains are realized on that property are also zeroed out. So on my volume went down, sound muffled. Man, I keep like my sounds are like max. Okay, thank you. Um, so essentially, the people really, if you were in that situation, and let's say you had, I don't know, $2 million in capital gains tax that you were going to write a check to the IRS, wouldn't it be a better value proposition to take a chance and invest it into a development, some property, or a business that was already residing in one of these areas, and then leave it in there for X period of time so that you can reduce the amount of liability that you owe? I mean, it's almost a no-brainer. And so that's why, to me, like this thing works because these are not in areas where the people that are watching me, the people that are following me, don't already know or don't come from these areas. These are areas that are people of color, are minorities, or people that are disenfranchised. These are communities where, like, for example, I already have properties in these areas, even before this thing even existed, because I couldn't afford to invest inside downtown Miami and buy those big high rises, right? So I had to invest in predominantly, black areas where properties were more affordable, right? Things that I could actually do and obtain. Most of us don't have investments in, Class A office buildings, right? Because we can't afford that stuff. But chances are, if you do have any investments, it's likely to be in one of these type of areas. So that is the play. But let's continue with the presentation, and we'll talk afterwards. All right, so now it says opportunity funds must invest in property. So you have to own stock in a property, a partnership interest, or business property. And then it says here, or a trade or a business, substantially all of its tangible property, whether owned or leased, is qualified operating zone business property. And again, these are some rules. 50% of the income must be active inside of a trade or business that falls within an opportunity zone. So let's say your business, you say, okay, I'm going to set up my business into an opportunity zone, but you actually really only set up in a small office and 80% it falls outside of that. That's a violation. So again, there's people going to try to do like trickery type stuff, but really the bottom line is, in areas that are impoverished, distressed communities where we all know and familiar with the other side of the tracks, those are highly likely to be opportunity zones. And if you already have properties in those areas, or if you know people that are in those areas, this is now the time to where you can find out who are the people who have capital gains taxes that need to be deferred, and get with them to start doing developments on already, things that you've got going on. So this is what that's all about, and we'll do question and answer afterwards. It talks about here the timelines in which you have to buy things and own things. So I know from a presentation that I attended that if you already own a property that's in the opportunity zone prior to these dates, you don't qualify. So you have to have purchased it after December 31st, 2017. But again, there's certain ways that people are getting around that, right? By selling the property to a business or selling it to another entity, and then that entity now takes the money from a qualified fund and invest in developing that. So that's really what the hype is all about, right? Now, I'm gonna say both sides of the picture because I feel as though what's going to happen, you're going to go out here, you're going to be excited, you're going to hear about this stuff, you're going to start asking people, and you're going to hear some negativity out there. So I definitely want to touch on that because some people have called it gentrification, right? So gentrification, I look up the definition, the process of renovating and improving a house or district so that it conforms to middle class taste. I want to let people know that if you are, like, for example, I know I got some people here in DC. I know I have people out here that are in Portland, people that are in Minneapolis, people that are in Seattle. Gentrification is already happening. And Wynwood, they took the whole Wynwood area in Miami, and it's now expensive properties, expensive condos, expensive high-rise. They took Overtown, and they've basically wiped out and took Overtown and confirmed it. So gentrification is already happening regardless of what people say, regardless. I mean, this is, our economy is built to continue to grow and to thrive and to flourish. So the fact that someone wants to stop that from happening it's just impossibility. So there's going to be some people say, well, this is another form of gentrification. And my answer to that is maybe it is. But what I want to say is this program is not, it's not exclusive or restrictive of any type of race, group, or ethnicity, right? It's set in areas that are predominantly minority, right? Predominantly black already areas, predominantly minority areas, underdeveloped areas where minorities reside. So again, I can see if the program that was created to serve and benefit people in more affluent type areas, but it's not. In fact, I have a story of someone that I know that was able to already create jobs, higher wage paying jobs, because the money's coming in and they're being able to get no interest type loans, right, using this type of vehicle. And that allows them to buy equipment. It allows them to develop out their business. And so people who have this excess capital, this excess cash, right, that was going to go to IRS anyways, like they were going to lose it anyways, they're now able to come in and pump money into small businesses, growing businesses, minority businesses, mid-sized businesses. So they're able to dump and put money into businesses like ours to help us to be able to develop and at the same time receive a tax benefit. So to me, this is a win-win-win for everybody out there. So how do you take advantage of this? What I would do is, for me, like I said, I have a building that I recently acquired that's in Opportunity Fund. I would encourage people to look at their areas where they live and look at areas where there are opportunity funds in and around your neighborhoods. And I would make a list of projects that you're already working on, projects that you're already looking to accomplish. In fact, I encourage my sister. I know she was looking at creating like a foster home for kids that were aging out of foster care. And I told her, look, if you're going to do that, right, rather than do that with your own monies and your own resources, why not set it up in an opportunity fund and then allow the monies that are there already, right? You would be surprised when you guys go out and you start reaching people. Hold on. It says moving recording has stopped. Uh-oh. Okay, when you guys go out and you start reaching people, see, you can see some of the mistakes I've made. When you guys go out and you start reaching people, you start reaching out to them and asking questions about this, you're going to find that what I've gone to, every presentation that I've attended says there's more money, right, than investment opportunities. There's more money, there's more actual people with money than they have things to invest the money in, because there's not, right, we didn't, there were and a lot of times in these areas there were no planned developments or planned projects. So now we've got a vehicle that's got a whole bunch of money in it, right, and no place to actually put the money into, right? And so what's going to happen is if they don't find enough qualified projects, then they got to turn that money and send it to Uncle Sam, right, and the IRS. And that's going to be the case in a lot of areas if people like us don't step up to the plate and come up with projects and companies and businesses that actually can take and utilize that money and do good things with it. You're going to find a lot of people are going to have to take that money and say, okay, I just got to write a check to Uncle Sam, because there's no projects available to actually maximize this stuff. So where do you find the information at? Look in your area for OZ or Opportunity Zone outreach events. Participate in any type of town hall, city meetings, inquire about it, and then check with your local chamber. Again, like I said, a lot of people, they're talking about it. And like I said, every event that I've ever been to, you can go to a room and they're going to say, we have a whole lot of money, right, and not a lot of projects to do. So again, acquire local real estate development groups, real estate groups, Google your city and opportunity zone, inquire at city and town hall meetings. Now, what I say not to do is, listen, don't sit back and complain, right? Like people are going to do, sit back and complain and say, you know, I don't want to hear, I want you, don't sit back and judge and criticize other people, right? And don't judge others for being bold and taking a chance, because this is going to happen whether we like it or not. It's the same thing like with the federal engine. You know, if whether we support war, whether we support bombing or not, this stuff is still going to happen. You can take the stance, well, you want to protest it, which is fine, and I respect your opinion for that. Or you can say, look, I'm going to ride the wave, because this is a way of providing economic and financial security for me and my family. This situation is happening. It's already been created. So what I want to say is I want to encourage everyone not to make any excuses. You are now, what they say, when you know better, you could do better. So you've now been informed, you've been educated, you are aware. So there's no reason why any of us should be making excuses. Go out and dig into it, do the research, find out who's doing it, what it looks like, get involved, and find out how you can participate. Because I'm telling you, they're looking for people that want to do this stuff. They're looking for people who want to be the next leaders, be the next pioneers, be the ones that step out and actually create projects, create businesses that can be sustainable, so that way we have a place to put the money for a 10-year window, right? And after the 10-year window, they'll be able to get the money back. So it's almost like a 10-year interest-free loan. So that's my spiel on opportunity zones. That's kind of what I want to get off my chest today before my group. I've got to run at 7 o'clock, so I've got time to kind of like chat, talk, questions with everybody else, whatever, mess around. You've got me on today. So, uh, Colin, what's up? DC, Chicago, what's up? Wow. Simone says opportunity zone in my area conveniently snake around the hood. But I bet you, Simone, there's areas that if you look outside of there, there are probably other areas where you can do some products. Go. Why don't you go to some of the events and some of the actual go to some of the meetings and talk to the people and listen to what they have to say and listen from them. What else? Questions, comments, concerns. Mike said I missed the whole thing. That's all right, Mike. Look, it's gonna be on replay. I'm leaving this on, so it's not going anywhere. Marie Mac, thank you. Yeah, Simone. That's listen, it doesn't hurt any of us to go out to an event and get information about it. I would say no, I would say it's a 10-year. It's not I would not say it's an investment plan. I would say it's like a 10-year deferred loan plan. Hola. Okay, if you have rental property that's in an opportunity zone, like I said, based on the laws at the time, if you already previously owned that property, you don't technically qualify. But I would say go and go to an opportunity zone event, and there are people that are trying to figure out ways around that. So you may, Ola, and again, I'm not saying this is the way to do it, but you may be able to transfer those properties to another corporation that you have to allow you to become eligible. So, but definitely, um, and that's what I'm saying. I have the same issue. I've got properties in opportunity zone as well, but I recently picked up another one inside. So the one that I picked up recently does I know for a fact it qualified. SBA is offering $50,000 microloans for businesses invest in qualified opportunity zones. Oh, Alexis for the two. All right, I got you. So Joseph, that's great, right? That the SBA is offering microloans for businesses, but you don't need a microloan. Like if you go to the people who have the money, like their choices are pay the IRS, the taxes, or put the money into a qualified fund. What I'm saying, forget the microloan gig. You go directly to the source of the people and let them finance your project. You don't need no microloan. Let them finance your project effectively or essentially interest free because they're going to get a tax savings by investing with you. So they're already making interest on their money because they're saving from paying the government. So you don't need a microloan. You could go straight to the source and actually get a real direct loan from the people who have these funds set up. They've got money, more money than people to invest in. What about a home biz Airbnb? Sure, why not? I mean, I don't see why Airbnb wouldn't qualify. I mean, again, if you're buying property in the area and you're developing it out, sure, it would qualify. That's kind of the idea. I mean, the building that I have is a 12-unit apartment building. So, I mean, let's say I want to take that apartment building and rent out Airbnb. It's no different. It's still a development deal. All right, I guess it went. My connection went out, but I'm back. Well, the first time, just so you know, I went offline intentionally. I had to take a private call. This time, I don't know. I think this time was the internet. Hmm. Okay. All right. Well, it looks like my signals are going bad. I like the old one better. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, it's not working good. Well, I mean, either way, what we'll do, we got through the presentation. I got my message out. I was able to at least share this with everyone out there, so that way, people can take action and start working towards some of these things before a big announcement that's coming up. So definitely want to let you guys know. I definitely want to share this with everyone so that way, you know, they are you're in the loop now, and you are made aware, and like they said, you know better, so you can do better. I'm back. Yeah, I've got a warning sign on my computer saying that my streaming is not going to be smooth because of it's not receiving enough feed. Yeah, the weather's bad everywhere. It's freezing everywhere. Yeah, I agree with you, Ray. When the signal goes bad, it's time to log off. All right, kiddos, Ray's right.